Welcome aboard this week's podcast of Dudes Dish Disney. Get ready for amazing attractions across America. Beer halls and bar rooms, banquets and beverages, a collection of characters and colleagues.
No cupcakes.
It's Dudes Dishing Disney. This episode of Dudes Dish Disney is sponsored by Magic Vacations. Magic Vacations. Discover the magic of travel. And now your hosts, the dudes of Dudes Dish Disney.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Dudes Dish Disney. Joining us today is our producer and resident tech dude, Figgy Boy.
Okay, I was not ready for that one, but what's going on, dudes?
You'd think you'd be ready for that by this point. The man's been calling you Figgy Boy for 3 months.
I know. Well, I mean, he varies all the time, which is really throwing me off there. So I wasn't ready for that one today.
Like to keep my co-hosts riveted. Because joining us also is our co-host, Ryan. He is the #1 Disney dude.
What's up, dudes? Hey, Figgy Boy, we made it official.
I guess so. I guess so.
I'm Congo Carl, former Jungle Cruise skipper, and I'm here to guide you through this week's episode of Dudes Dish Disney. What's up, dudes?
What's up, guys?
What's going
Hey,
on?
what's this? I heard you guys did an episode without me. What the hell's that all about?
Yeah, well, if someone could get their schedule in order, maybe that wouldn't happen here. You know.
Trust me, nobody wants to get my schedule more in order than me, John. I would love to make that happen.
Yeah, Bob did a great job filling in for you, Ryan. In case you haven't had a chance to check out that episode, because it is stored on YouTube now, our new favorite medium that we come to you live with when we feel like coming to you live. You never know when we're going to come to you live. And that's the beauty of the technology. But yeah, Ryan, I wish we could say you were missed, but you really weren't. So
I wasn't expecting to be missed. It's okay. I logged in a couple of times, heard you guys talking trash about me, and said, okay, good. Things are on track. It's fine. I'm out of here.
And we had so much fun talking trash about you. We knew we had to get back into one of our favorite genres of our media, which is the draft, right? Do you know how many drafts we have done since, after we completed our 5 years of weekly podcasts? Do the math. We took 1 week off for the holidays, so it was 51 weeks times 5. I wonder how many of those were draft episodes. Do we have a rough idea? We didn't kind of number them or count them, but quite a few.
We only did like 1 or 2 drafts in the last full season of weekly episodes. Yeah. Every other year we did like 1 a month. So I'd have to imagine somewhere in the vicinity of 30, give or take.
Yep.
Yeah, give or take. I mean, we'll have to get back on that one. I mean, we can figure that out pretty easily. But with the 250 plus episodes we've done, I mean, there's a good chunk of them that are drafts. So,
and what we like about the most is the interaction that proceeds the following days after we go with this with the show. Of everyone on the various social medias, giving their opinions, their inputs, and their likes and dislikes, and voting for who they think nailed the draft. And I really think it was because of that interaction with our listeners that we decided to jump over to this medium, right? Because why not have them interact with us live as they listen to us and have in the past? And we hope that they, especially when we get to the end of the draft and we think about what did we forget? What did we miss? I think that can really come from our listeners now. So we open it up. We're trying to expand our listenership across the revenues. I realize for those of you who are very loyal to us on the West Coast, this is probably commute time. So you're in the LA traffic listening to us, probably not watching us on YouTube. That would be dangerous. Although you don't go very fast on.
I was going to say, if you're in LA, you can watch a whole hour show and not move an inch. You should be fine.
Yeah. And because we have so many loyal followers out in LA, we were debating on including this week's episode to include our West Coast destination, but we opted not to. We could throw a curveball and just say, yes, let's do it right now, because I know with the format, it's going to be kind of tight, right? So let's explain this format and maybe put it out to our listeners whether we should include the West Coast in our decisions right now, because I know we've all prepared one way, and that would cause us to think us on our feet. And it goes back to one of the drafts that we had in the early stages when Ryan threw a curveball at all of us and got us screwed up. So I'm trying to do that live with our listeners. So the premise of this week's draft is all of the lands, and we say lands because originally Disneyland was a composition of lands, as was the Magic Kingdom. But every themed area or location has its uniqueness in the Walt Disney World Resort and all of the Disney parks. But Walt was very fond and did one of his famous TV specials and saying, but the park really comes alive at night. And, you pictured the castle lighting up and Main Street lighting up and different venues coming to life in the evening. And more as we enter these spring and summer months, the parks will be open later and later. And we've had podcasts about Disney after events too. And they're very popular too. And we do have, our favorites, and I'm sure all of Disney fans have their favorites, lands or parks or sections of the parks at night. It brings on a different level of magic that people get excited about. So that's the premise of this week's show, is we were going to go through, as we turn it over to Ryan, who always explains the rules of the drafts and gets us started. And we were going to nominate or draft our favorite lands. And we've prepared for the Walt Disney World Resort, which I think, Ryan, you said there's 22 lands to pick from, right? And in our draft of picking 5 lands per person, that's 15. So it gets really tight at the end, right? It gets very interesting at the end. So, which is good. It's a challenge. We're always up for that challenge. But the question goes is, on the spur of the moment, should we open it up to include the lands of the 2 West Coast parks, DCA and the OG Disneyland? If there's anyone who's listening out there and following along right now and wants to jump in and write us a note on yay or nay to include Disneyland, we'll certainly take that tally or vote into consideration as we proceed.
While we are waiting for votes to come in, and instead of just letting the crickets chirp, I'm going to explain the rules of the draft, regardless of which lands we're choosing from. As Carl said, we are going to go through 5 rounds of this draft. We've done 3, we've done 4, we've done 5. 5 is just going to be more fun because it's been a while since we've done one of these. So we're going to do 5. What's going to happen is we're going to draw from a spinning wheel who goes first. And that person will go first in the first round. Then that person will go second in the second round, third in the third round, et cetera, so that it keeps moving down the line. Carl's wiping his fingers for some reason.
I have no idea what he's doing. I have no clue.
It's shining my knuckles, getting ready for the.
All right.
Ready for the win.
I mean, you can have shiny knuckles. I'll have the bloody ones. We'll see who comes out on
but you're shiny before you go fight, Ryan. They're ready,
Gotcha.
So you can see them coming.
Gotcha.
They're bloody. You're right. They're bloody
you want to confuse your opponent with those shiny knuckles. Okay, I got it.
I think he's trying to blind you for the fact that he's got nothing really.
It's okay. It's okay. He can have his.
It's all in the
knuckles.
footwork. It's all in the footwork.
That's all right. It's all right. Anyway, so once we go through the draft, we'll finish up the draft. We'll recap all the different picks, and then tomorrow we'll start posting on social media. So if you're watching this later, Thursday, April 10th, we'll start posting this on social media, and we'll give it a weekend or so for people to draft and give us their opinions. It'll be on an Instagram story only for 24 hours because that's all they give us. And I think Twitter is only, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call that platform, is also only 24 hours. But Facebook will be the majority of the comments come in, and we'll have that up for the whole weekend. So come vote. Come vote. Let us know who did the best. And if it's not me, you're wrong.
It's true. Every draft, that's been true. If it's not Ryan, you're wrong, because I think if we count those, whatever there were, 20, 30, 40, 50 drafts, I think I won 2 and Ryan won the rest, right? John,
a couple I've won.
Yeah.
John won just as many as Bob did. And Bob was only a part
That's
of
right.
one.
That's right. That's right.
Bob's batting 1,000 in the drafts. John is batting 1 out of 50. But that's okay. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't see any comments in terms of any opinions on if we should have Disneyland. So do you guys want to stick with Disney World, or feel free to throw the curveball, because I didn't prepare for this anyway.
All right, because I've been talking to some of our fans on the West Coast. I'm going to throw the curveball. Let's go.
All right.
Disneyland, but with a caveat. Disneyland is when you pick let's say if you pick a unanimous or ubiquitous land, for example, Fantasyland, right? And once you pick Fantasyland in either the Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, it's off the list, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You have to specify, or do you just get both?
You would specify which one, because there are some subtle differences, and I think that's important in the decisions. Of course, no one will pay attention to that when voting for us, because they don't listen to that. They just look at the list and vote. But yes, I think for the force of the show and for the interest sake of our listeners, we should specify why we picked one over the other if it's off the list. And then when someone picks that land, it's off the list, obviously, on the West Coast and the East Coast at the same time.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Are you guys ready to go for the spinning wheel of death?
Let's
love it
up there.
Love it.
Let's see if I can remember how to share my screen. Present or invite? Ooh. Share screen.
Suspense is killing me.
While we're waiting for Ryan to share his screen. Oh, there we go.
There it
All
is.
right, here we go. So you'll see I just put everybody's name in here the same amount of times over and over again. And we're just going to spin to see who gets the first overall pick. It's probably John or Carl, because it's always John or Carl. There you go.
Ah, what do you know?
Carl shined his knuckles all the way to the top. Now we'll remove Carl. And I'm hoping for number 2 here. I could use the number 2 in this draft, and John's probably going to get it because that's the way it goes.
No.
All right. So, yep, there we go. That as normal, I come in last place of the pre-draft.
But that's always the recipe for your wins. So you've got it down because of
I could have really used the number 2 in this one though. but that's okay. That's okay. We got it. Carl, then John, then me.
All right.
Handwritten note of this just in case we screw everything else up.
Okay. Well, I am going to jump in very quickly. There's so many great choices in Truly the Magic at Night. Some old, some new, and I'm going to go with one that's become a recent favorite for me because it gives a total different vibe. I think I was toying with this one and another one for the choice of the number 1 pick. The number 1 pick could be obvious to some other people, but there's some things there that I don't like about it. So if someone else picks it, I'll comment on that. But if you've never really truly immersed yourself in the Star Wars universe at night, you haven't really lived. The lights and sounds of Batuu are truly magical. And I'm picking the Galaxy's Edge. They're virtually identical, but I'll pick the one in Florida because I have experienced that one, and that would be a fairer pick for me to do. I think what does it for me is that the if you're in Florida in a hot night or a late at night in a starry night, and you can look up and see stars while you're in Galaxy's Edge, your mind can really just race and have fun, right? The lighting on Batuu and the mountains and everything. The sound effects at night, they play them, I know, all day, but they just seem so more immersive at night, right? The ships flying over sight and everything. And as you know, an OG fan of the original Star Wars trilogy, which became the second trilogy, it really lends that whole atmosphere of being immersed at night really does it for me. It really kind of takes me away, especially if I'm around the Millennium Falcon, and I really my head starts to roll in different scenes of the movies. It also seems the crowds get a little thinner, and so there's like a peace or quiet night. And this is true of all the lands, right? But Galaxy's Edge, you know, with all the hype for so many years, and coming out of the sliding doors of Oga's Cantina after you've had 2 or 3 drinks, and you're looking up to the sky and seeing these effects and walking around are special. Also, Rise of the Resistance, that last section where you're actually physically outside in the ride, but when you're outside in day versus outside in night, to me, it's just a little bit more symbiotic with the area. So I am going with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as the first pick.
I think it's a great pick. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find me hating on anything Star Wars. So I agree with you, though. The weirdest thing about that land is the sound effects at night. I'm convinced they turn up the volume just a little bit, right? Because it's almost like I don't recognize them during the day, but at night, I always hear the X-Wing go overhead, like always. And it's really cool the way that they do it. I've always said, too, Carl, you'll appreciate this. John, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I think it'd be really cool if they did something kind of like what they do on Fremont Street in Vegas, where they put like a canopy over the top and project the stars on it, but then actually have like the X-Wing fly across on the canopy, so that you can do it these days, like the effects that they have in the Haunted Mansion, where like you can reflect it, you can see the stars through it, and then you could still reflect it somehow. I don't know. That would just be really cool and take it to the next level. Carl, for what it's worth, you're not missing out on Disneyland's version, because literally the only difference is one extra entrance and exit. Everything else is mirror image, identical. So
there's three entrances. I'm going to look at the map now. There's 3 there.
There's 3 entrances
in
Disneyland, but there's only 2 entrances. That's it. That's the only difference between them. But yeah, good call, Carl.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this pick. I mean, it was between this and a few others, and this definitely makes sense for what it is. And I will say, Ryan, your idea is awesome. If they can somehow expand on that and make something like that work, I mean, even some projection mapping. I mean, I know they do it from time to time with the projection mapping, but even that mapping would kind of satisfy that a little bit, I think. And that would be really cool if they could do that. If they could, that would be so cool and really, really, really give a extra element, I think, to the land that's already really cool with the effects and the sounds and everything else that they do there. So
if they're going to take over this galactic Star Cruiser with the Imagineers, they better do some more stuff in Star Wars Galaxy.
All right, John, you get to pick number 2.
Yeah, I'm going for a land that I will definitely say kind of set the tone for what Galaxy's Edge would be, and kind of raise that bar, heading over to Animal Kingdom, and going to put in Pandora here. There's no reason why this shouldn't be a top 3 pick. I mean, if any of us didn't do that, I think someone needs to really start screaming at us. Yeah, if none of us ended up picking this, because what this land did, and especially what it does at night with the bioluminescence and the glowing and the effects and everything that it brings, this land becomes more alive than it is at any other point with this, which really makes you feel like you're on Pandora. I mean, let's be honest. We've all seen the movie. I'm sure we've all seen now both movies by this point, and a lot of our fans have as well. this really demonstrates what those movies were. And if they ever expand, I can't wait to see what it is, because there is an expansion pad available in there. And if they bring some of that stuff into that with potential of what could be there, really expanding newer technology, and really make the night pop more than it already pops, it would be awesome. It would be so cool to do so. So
yeah, I mean, it's obvious, right? To me, I actually would debated going back and forth that if I had the first pick, I knew I wouldn't, but if I had the first pick, those were the two that I was debating between, right? Like, in all of Disney property, you'll be hard pressed to find anything more stunning than the flowers and the botanical areas around Pandora, the neons that come out. And it's even more special in the fact that you don't get to see it very often, because oftentimes it's not open late enough for you to actually experience that land properly in the dark, so yeah, a good start, John.
Yeah, and that is the obvious, one kind of 1 and 2. And the reason I didn't go for that is that the first time that I experienced it, I was kind of in there for Twilight and transitioning from Twilight, and I had heard all the hype, and I was a little underwhelmed at some of it because of the hype, not because of what I was looking at, right? The quality of the show was there, but I was just personally underwhelmed a little bit. And I think seeing the gradual transition from Twilight into that would have been a different experience than if I had come in and it was totally dark, which, as Ryan's pointed out, is hard to do because of where that is. And so when I came out of there and experienced other places of Animal Kingdom, which we may get into tonight, the other areas had me impressed over what I had just experienced. And so that kind of underwhelming feeling kind of took in. I think I would have had a totally different experience if I went straight in to there when it was fully up and ready to go. So, and I think I also would have had a different experience had I not been on the boat ride in Pandora and experienced that simulated experience and then seen it outside. I think if I saw outside first and then inside, I would have been more impressed with outside in the evening. So that minor point, but a good pick, John.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna take one off the board here. It wasn't originally in my plans, but Carl throws curveballs, and sometimes I gotta try to catch a hanger and knock it out of the park. So with number 3 overall, I'm gonna take a steal that I think could live very well with 1 and 2, and I'm gonna take Cars Land in Disney California Adventure. The neons in Cars Land are amazing, and it really gives life to that land at night. That land is super awesome during the day also, just with how immersive it is, and it really follows that same line of Pandora and Galaxy's Edge and Cars Land. They're 3 of the newer lands, right, that have been created over the last however so long. So it makes sense that happens, but there's something about that land at night. And one of the things I think gives it an edge over maybe even picks 1 and 2 here is what they do with that land throughout the seasons, because that land can come to life in totally different ways for the Halloween season, for the Christmas season, for all the different seasons throughout the year. Whereas, the other ones are amazing. I can't talk bad about them, but they don't have that special je ne sais quoi, if you will, for the seasons. So Cars Land for me it lives in the top 3, and maybe I'll get some flack for that, but I love it.
I don't disagree with you on that one. That one, I was kind of trying to figure out where you're going here, and especially with the curveball that Carl's thrown in here, it makes sense. I mean, just thinking about what's out there and what else could fit in that, it fits. Let's be honest, it fits, and it's a cool land in itself. I mean, it does wonderful things, and to be honest, Cars Land kind of set the tone again for what Pandora would be, and then Pandora set the tone for Galaxy's Edge. So, I mean, it all kind of trickles down. So it makes perfect sense here. So.
No, it's great. It's great. It's one of the only lands that fans and park goers, guests, have created their kind of own ritual when the lights come on, right? If you've ever seen that, where they go out there. I mean, so how could you not include that in one of the top 3 lands? It's awesome. So it's see that, Ryan? Every opportunity is open to you. You know, the world is your oyster.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not a big oyster fan, but I'll take it. I'll slurp it right up.
All right, so this is where things get wonky. Now, who picks next in this round? This is where I always get confused. And,
yeah, I'm gonna slap this up real quick, just because.
Okay, John's got nice graphics.
John's slapping. Do you hear that? He's slapping. Hey, while John's slapping, let's talk to our boy John Cook. He hasn't been yet, but Cars is super high up on my bucket list. John, my man, you got to go ASAP, man. Brother, that is like
that's
the whole experience, not just that, but like I don't want to say anything else because we have a full draft to go here. Cars Land is worth it. Radiator Springs Racers is outstanding.
Yep.
And for your little guy, for your all 3 of your little ones, there's a lot of little fun kid stuff in that land too. So not to mention meet and greets with Tow Mater and Lightning McQueen. So you can't really go wrong there.
Okay.
Right. Next round, we move to John because Carl gets confused. John went second, so now he goes first in the second round.
Ooh, okay.
Pressure's on. Will he be the John of old where he screws it up, or will he make a good pick?
This is where it gets a little.
No, it doesn't. We got 5 rounds. Are you? Come on.
No, I want to make sure I'm not
in the second round.
I'm
It's
debating
like,
if I want
picks
to
are gone.
be an asshole right now, and I kind of feel like I want to be an asshole right now.
Be an asshole.
Yeah, I'm gonna be it. And I'm gonna take World Showcase here.
That's exactly what I expected you to take. That's not being an asshole.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it.
Yeah, I'm taking this one. Just not the fact that what World Showcase is alone, but when the lights come on in World Showcase, there's definitely a totally different vibe down there. It feels a lot more energetic. It feels kind of a little bit kind of nightlifey, I've discovered. And then when you get the fireworks, you get everything else. It just sets a totally different tone than you get during the day there. And it's an experience that nobody can really truly describe until you actually feel it for the first time yourself and really enjoy it. It's something classic Disney. Now, I know, Carl, you probably have millions of stories of moments during nighttime out there that just set the tone and just kind of are core memories for you alone. But I know what World Showcase brings alone and everything that comes with, especially at night when you start throwing the fireworks, the different shows and all the different events. It just makes perfect sense to throw this on this list and put it here. I'm surprised you honestly didn't pick it in the first round.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. And thank you. I do have core memories, but I think part of the challenge is that there's other people that have core memories of me there that I don't remember. So
I'm one of
that's
those
very
people.
true.
I believe 2 of those people are on this podcast with you right now.
So I think here's to be in agreement with you is that if you come out at night, if you've had dinner at one of the places and you come out at night right before the fireworks, and it is dark, and so the sight lines are different across the lake, you wander around some of the areas that are a little bit more compact and tight. So the back streets of France or Morocco, the courtyard in Germany, you can also almost imagine yourself at night that you're really in that country, right? And I think that's kind of the thing, is at night you have that. In the daytime, the sight lines kind of take you off to other places beyond the lagoon, and you realize where you are. Spaceship Earth is kind of ominous, there. if you're in Japan and you come out at night, you still realize you're in Epcot because you have a beautiful view of Spaceship Earth for there. But some of the other countries, you really get that feeling that you may have been just eating at the real beer gardens in Munich, So, yeah, so I agree with you. It's certainly something I would have loved to have on my list for many reasons. And I think it's good. I think it's, it is considered a land. So it makes this, if we crafted the draft a little differently, that's a big take, right? Because you're taking so much real estate with that. So with the West Coast, we open things up a little bit. But yeah, good pick, John.
It's definitely my most entertaining land. Especially on like Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah. It was in my top 3 originally, John. I moved it out once we opened up the West Coast. I knew full well you were going to take it, and that's why I took Cars Land where I did, because I was pretty sure if I took it, you would have taken Cars Land, and I wanted that more.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair, because that probably would have happened.
Yeah. So, quick pick. I go next.
You do.
And I'm going back to the West Coast. I'm going back to the same exact park, and I'm trying not to pick everything from the same park, but I can't pass up on Avengers Campus. It's just not in my nature to let that slide to somebody else. I think Avengers Campus, again, we're talking about these newer, more immersive lands, right? And that's really been the case here, with the exception of World Showcase, is, these newer, they're made to be different experiences during the day and at night in a lot of cases, because they want people to come back and enjoy them in different ways. So, Avengers Campus to me is just, again, the way it's lit up. The characters are still out. I mean, the Sanctum Sanctorum, for instance, takes on a totally different feel in the day than it does at night, just with the lighting and the way that Doctor Strange comes out and all the lights that light up behind him and stuff. The backdrop when you're looking at, the right sight lines, over the Avengers Tower, and you're looking at the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, right? Like that sight line is amazing. They do all sorts of projections and stuff out there. They've done drone shows out there that go along with the Marvel theme. That's totally unique. And of course, this is just like Cars Land. It is super unique and different than anything else that you find in the United States for Disney, right? Like, it's not a playoff of something else. It's its own thing. So much like Star Wars Galaxy's Edges, and much like Pandora is, right? It's like specific to the IP and very well done to the IP. So yeah, I can't pass that one. I'm not sure it belongs here on a list, but I can't pass it up. I can't let one of you guys have. Charles already
there's no surprise that you've taken this, especially seeing you couldn't get Galaxy's Edge. This is the next best thing for you. And if you didn't get this, I'm pretty sure one of us would have been questioning what the hell you were thinking, not taking it. And
that never happens in a draft with Ryan. We know.
No, I know. Ryan has way too much strategy that he acts like he doesn't, but I'm pretty sure he really has it all planned out and all this, and he's trying to mess with our heads. So
I really don't. If I wanted to put you on tilt, I'd do it in a whole different way, I promise.
All right. Well, excellent picks, gentlemen. Am I up next?
You're up, Carl. Round 2.
Wow.
Close out round 2.
Round 2. Okay, the completion of round 2. Okay, so I started my pick on the East Coast. Now I'm going to the West Coast, to a beautiful place where the Mesa gets lit up at night and transforms one of my favorite rides into a whole new, better experience, where the rivers of America are lit up by the Mark Twain twinkling, reflecting riverboat on the waters. Oh, wait, not every night, because in Frontierland in California, we have Fantasmic.
Easy,
which
buddy.
Changes the whole dynamic of picking Frontierland on the West Coast, not only blocking Frontierland on the East Coast, but blocking all that is good about Hollywood Boulevard at night, because Fantasmic is the centerpiece of Frontierland at night at the Disneyland Resort. So, look, I originally had Frontierland very high on my list. the first time I experienced Big Thunder Railway at Disneyland was at night. And I, psychologically, I was like, it's longer, it's bigger than the East Coast. Because the first time I experienced the East Coast version was at night too. Ever. Being that was the first ride I rode in the Magic Kingdom College program. On the first day I arrived, two friends showed me how, cast members got in for free. And that was the first ride they took me on. I had never been on it. So when I went to California, I made it a point that I was saving that for night to compare. And it is fantastic. The ride is just twice as good at night. The iconic views of the river boats on River of America is really a Disneyland thing. It's been brought over. Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island at night is very cool if you haven't experienced it. It'll be there in California for a long time for you to experience. So I'd encourage you to experience there. But the original
don't make me pull up the damn soapbox. Come on now.
Don't
make me do it.
The OG Fantasmic was from Disneyland, and it was there, right? And hey, it came back last year after a downtime because of some incidents, and it's back, in full glory. And there's something about seeing the Mark Twain with all the characters on it versus the Hollywood Studios, fake steam wheeler for Steamboat Mickey. So Frontierland in Disneyland is my pick for this round.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a little early for Frontierland myself, but that's okay. That's at the heart of where Carl lives, much like Avengers Campus is for me. So that's fine. I did
it for the double block, Ryan. I did it for the double block.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm not super thrilled with Frontierland, honestly, personally. That's just
me. I think it was a little too early, to be honest. I could see it late
when you walk through fifth round. When you walk through Frontierland and those lanterns are hanging off the signs and lampposts and flickering at night, when you walk down the mine shaft to go on Big Thunder and it's dark and those lights are flickering, they do it in the day too, but at night when it's dark, that whole ride experience at night is just so different than anything else. I mean, it's really kinds of Big Thunder puts the spin on it, as much as Fantasmic is a great show. But those two things combined, that's why I put it really high up on the list.
Yeah. Okay.
I got nothing to say to that. I mean, I get it. I mean, it was on my list, but it wasn't this high. It
was lower on my list also.
It was lower on your list because you were preparing for East Coast.
No.
I
wrote out a list within the last 10 minutes while we've been talking. I put it lower on the list.
All right.
You know what's above it though, since my turn is next.
Yeah, what's above it?
It's the other place that you can watch Fantasmic from at Disneyland. It's New Orleans Square.
Yeah, that's a great one.
New Orleans Square at night is it's one of those old school lands at Disney where it feels like you're actually in a place. You actually feel like you're walking around New Orleans. You feel like you're on Bourbon Street. You feel like that vibe, that party vibe that's going on, the architecture, everything around you, the music that's being played around you, the food, the smells, everything. And then you also have Fantasmic, which I love. So, you and I are in agreement on that one, Carl. And those are the two places.
That's the technicality there is if you list Fantasmic, it's listed as a Frontierland attraction, not a New Orleans.
I said you could view it from there.
I know.
Part of the attractions there.
Hey, look, I can see the Contemporary Hotel from Tomorrowland. That doesn't mean I'm really there. I'm just saying.
I mean, if you're just watching the Contemporary for no reason, that's on you, pal. You can literally watch the whole show from Fantasmic from Cafe Orleans if you want to. So, but anyways, the Fantasmic part was just a jab at you more than anything. It's just in terms of the immersiveness of a land, right? There's very few places that really give that immersiveness. And to me, New Orleans Square is elevated at night. Some of the other ones that we've talked about, they're great all day. New Orleans Square to me during the day is nothing, right? It's cool. It's fine. It's whatever. But at night it's elevated. And that to me is what kind of ranks it up for me in this draft.
No, it's definitely a fan favorite. I love it for all the reasons you said, Ryan, and it's certainly high on my list. But kudos for you for grabbing it right now.
I'm all West Coast, man. Like, what the hell happened to me? Who am I?
Who am
I? I was just realizing that, Ryan. You've gone completely West Coast, being a real Disney World guy. Your heart is really in Disneyland, I think.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I would say that for the draft purposes, maybe it's something to say about the West Coast. They do a really good job. But you know what? Those parks are also open till midnight or 11 p.m. almost all year round, right? They're designed to be open late at night more often.
Right.
So,
and that's when I got back to my opening statement about Walt saying, hey, the park's another magic at night. He really had thought about from day one, and it makes a difference. So there we go.
All right, so we're back to, as wonky as it is, we're back to you, Carl.
I know. So, okay, so where are we on the board there, John? Show us where we are on the board as I'm trying to gather my thoughts here.
Give me a second
and
here.
where to
Bring
go.
up the board and show it to him, John.
God damn it, I'm working on it.
Come on, Anna, let's go.
Come on, let's go.
Jesus.
Biggie boy.
Hey, don't call him the tech dude for nothing. Okay, there we go.
Check that beat.
I know, I love that
Yeah.
beat. All right, so that's there. That was a miss. That was a hit. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to the East Coast, and I'm gonna go grab one that is newer and wait a minute, and more. Where am I?
Oh boy.
Oh no, I
Sure,
have
your
I
box
typed
is
all of
there.
this out.
He's the one that screwed himself here. I mean,
No, I didn't. I typed them all out, but my education is
Minimal.
It's true. You know what they call a person who graduates last at medical school?
Doctor.
That's right. So
Yeah.
There you go. I'm going to go with a place that is on the list in so many ways, but I mean, I'm going to go. I'm going to make this call, and I may regret it. Here's the part where I may regret it, but
Struggle bus is real for Carl tonight.
yeah. It brings on great memories and of youth and being a kid in a different way than some of the other lands that are geared for kids at Walt Disney World. And I think it's because it's clever in the way they do it at night. So I'm going to go with Toy Story Land at night next as my choice. And it's, it's not a land I talk a lot about or, in visiting in the parks and everything. But, if you've ever been a kid and decided, what am I going to do? I'm bored, and you collected a whole bunch of stuff from your toys and other things. The mere fact that they thought to put Christmas lights up and string them all over Andy's backyard was like, yeah, how many times have I, repurposed things that I've used around my house as a kid, and for other things, right? So that kind of got me. Also, the Slinky Dog ride at night, I think, is a lot more fun. Personally, on that. So those kind of things combined give that kind of those neon lights the feel sort of the same kind of feel as Cars Land, but different. As far as the neon parts of it, the neon pieces of it, from Buzz Light, the spin ride and some of the stuff around Slinky Dog, but also it's obviously just kids kind of decorating with Christmas lights.
You talking about alien swirling saucers?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm a little surprised that you've decided to go this route, Carl, because you tend to bash this land any other time except today, when it fits just ever so perfectly into your draft order here.
So it's a steals is what you're saying, Jonathan.
No, I'm not saying it's a steal at all.
Lotso would totally think that this is a steal. Okay, let's be honest about it. I don't, but I think Lotso over here would.
Right.
So we need to change it to Lotso from Figgy Boy.
Right.
I am also surprised, John, only because it's just so out of character. And Carl is usually somebody who has a plan, and it's like all my picks come together. But I think what he's learned is that sometimes you got to make picks that the people will just gravitate towards, even if he doesn't agree with it being on his own list. And since many of the people voting won't listen to this show before voting,
that's
Carl
true.
has no
That's
problem
very
doing this right now.
No.
Here's the truth, though. Toy Story Land is one of my favorite lands during the day. I feel it actually loses a touch at night. I do agree with the 2 points that you made in terms of the Christmas lights and Slinky Dog Dash. I absolutely agree with those. But that's it for me. Nothing else there is like they put a freaking spotlight on Woody.
Yeah.
Look at my large Woody, right? that's all they did there. The dark covers up the details that they've put into the land in terms of like the footprints in the ground and the little tiny stuff like that. And any of the other details that they do, they just put little spotlights on. Like they could have done more with it, I think. So I do love the land, but opposite of what I said about New Orleans Square is I actually feel like this land is better during the day, elevated during the day over at night.
Fair enough.
It's a third round pick in a tough draft, right? Like that's the truth. But
yeah, it doesn't. I think if I let it slide now, I wouldn't have gotten it ever. So so that's why you're right. You're right, Ryan. I have learned a little bit over the last 5 years.
I'm proud of you, Carl.
Wow, you can teach an old dog rather new tricks, I guess.
Woof.
All right, John, you got to close us out here for round 3.
All right. Let's think here. All right. So I think I'm going to throw this out here just based on what's left here. I am going with Main Street USA. And I can't throw Disneyland because I have yet to actually been to Disneyland. So it's at Walt Disney World here. But this one has a little bit of a core memory for me. To be honest, like just
I've got a core memory for everybody, John. just
yeah. Oh no, I mean, well, it's Main Street USA.
You leave the park at night, you have a core memory about Main Street.
Yeah, exactly. But just something about walking down that patch of street, seeing the castle at the end of the way, all the lighting, all the marquees, everything. It's classic Disney. When you think Disney with movies, with everything, it fits. It's perfect. And now with some of the projection mapping on certain shows and everything that you do too, you see that a little bit. It extends down. And it's the classic Disney. It's as simple as that. It's classic Disney, and it makes perfect sense to be on a list. And it's just something that just it makes sense for everybody. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think the just going back to the way you started about Disney World versus Disneyland, you chose the right one just for the size of the castle in the background more than anything else. anybody who's been to Disney World and then goes down Main Street, Disneyland is like, really, that's it, you know? So Main Street is another pick that I think had to be thrown in here, right? Like, regardless if this is a dude show, right? Like it's classic. It's absolutely classic, and it belongs in this list. And it's lit up at night, and the way they light it up with the fireworks is gorgeous. You know, with the projections is amazing. So, absolutely.
No, good pick. Good pick. So
great comment here by John.
Yeah, when most of the people clear out, late night Main Street USA is perfect, and the shows, but the people rushing in the exit, not great. Totally agree.
Truth, absolute truth there.
Cows being herded.
Yes, absolutely.
It is my favorite thing to do on the way out is just go.
I think Ryan's up.
No, we are back to you, Carl.
Back to me. What do you know? How about
I'm not
that?
thrilled about it.
All right. So both of my last 2 or 3 picks, I'm not going to say this because it might tip you guys off, and I don't want to do that. So it's a coin toss, really, at this point.
You have to put a shot clock on Carl all of a sudden.
I know.
Really? Yeah, that's
I'm gonna have to design a goddamn shot clock now for the next draft. Really?
As well as they did 5 years ago when we first started the podcast.
Did we do it? Did we have a shot clock?
No, we never had.
No, because we needed content back then.
Yeah, like, what are we going to do for 15 minutes?
Right. Now we don't really care. So
that was the key. We're no longer caring. Let's just go have fun. Screw them if they don't like it.
All right, I'm getting to my roots right now because this area boasts some of the best nighttime entertainment of any park. But it's in a park that's not really known for staying out at night. The area has a party atmosphere that Disney often tries to capture, but hardly succeeds at because it's usually they try to fake it, you know. So instead of, like faking it with a DJ playing popular songs, they have live music and dancers all over the place. And it's great to grab a drink from the Nomad Lounge and just pull up a seat and watch all the activity at Discovery Island in the Animal Kingdom when that's going on. And you can see people getting into the music and dancing and having those kind of parties with the live various groups that are out there. You also get a fantastic show at the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life Awakenings is a great experience if you've never done that. It's there. So yeah, I can hang out, seeing all the activity, going in and out of the Nomad Lounge, sitting on the deck, watching the Tree of Life show, and chilling late in the day at Discovery Island at the Animal Kingdom.
Your problem, Carl, is that I have a really good memory sometimes. And I remember when we did the land version of this show, my final pick of that draft was Discovery Island. And nobody, and I mean nobody, gave me more shit about that pick than you. Nobody. And it was the same things. It was the Tree of Life at night. And it was the area at night. And that was my whole thing. And now it's not even your last pick. It's your 4th pick. And it's a coin toss.
Wow. Have the times turned? Have the times really turned?
Out of here. With that said, I agree with you.
Oh.
The mentor becomes the mentee, as I take from Ryan.
Jesus Christ.
I actually just think you took it too early. It wasn't even on my list for this draft. So
it wasn't. I looked at it and I'm like, what? I'm like, there's nothing that makes me go, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Right, well, let's be honest, John. Have you been there at night?
Yeah.
Seen done all that?
Yeah. Well, not Nomad Lounge, but
right. That's the thing for me.
Let's be honest. The only times I've been to Nomad Lounge are with you so far. I mean, because it just worked out that way.
But I'm just saying is what's great about this is you're doing all that, and it's because the park closes early. It's early evening. So if you've drank around, there, and you're closing that park, which is early, when it gets dark, 6 or 7, maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock at night in the right time of the season, you're doing that, and you still have the night in front of you, which is great too. So you're experiencing that, and you're chillaxing, and then you still go to another resort, Disney Springs, another park,
Park hop to Epcot and keep it going.
That's definitely where to go. I mean, that's what to do there.
Get the bus ride at 6:30, then you can take the Skyliner home. So you have to break up earlier. That's what's important.
All right. So there you go. Ryan's expressed his opinion on that, which means that you can move on to the next the next draft pick.
John, you're up next.
All right. What do we get left here? All right. So with what's left here, I am heading over to Hollywood Studios for this one. I am taking Sunset Boulevard for the next one here. The big thing again, it's kind of that vibe of Hollywood of the early 1900s. And again, as much as I hate Tower of Terror, seeing Tower of Terror at the end of Sunset Boulevard at night, and especially when they got the projection mapping and everything, I find extremely cool. And it definitely sets off a nice vibe with that, and kind of all the signage, everything that goes on there. It's just got a nice vibe. Let's be honest. It's got a nice vibe. There's a bunch of great places to grab a drink. It's usually not that busy unless Fantasmic gets out, and that's the only time it's really chaos there, is just because you get the mass exodus of a ton of people. But other than that, it's usually
sometimes they let Fantasmic out the other way too. Remember,
that's true.
Direct exit route there. The hypocrisy between you guys, I swear to God. John walks out the street and he's like, I hate that ride. It makes me piss my pants, but it looks beautiful.
hey, I mean, just because I don't like drop rides doesn't mean I don't appreciate a ride, all right?
Like, I can appreciate the ambiance surrounding that ride. Honestly, John, it was on my list. It was probably right around a 4th round pick on my list. So, it's a good pick in my mind where you got it. You haven't totally screwed up this draft yet. Congratulations.
There's still around. There's still one more round.
Yeah, you're still doing well. Yeah, but anybody can screw up the 5th round. That's acceptable. What I like about Sunset Boulevard is kind of like what I talked about with Cars Land, is that it's one of those areas that it transforms differently in the evenings than it does during the day. You can go and sit and have a drink over there and hang out. There's cool photography opportunities. But during the seasons, they do special stuff out there, right? They'll have the fake snow in the form of bubbles come down that street. They'll put, activities down that street. You go down over by Tower of Terror for the Jollywood Nights, and they've got a little club and dance scene over there. So they can do quite a bit in that area in the evenings that I think does elevate it over daytime. So yeah, I'm just giving you grief, but I like the pick.
Hey, right. That's a first. That I've gotten a little bit of a okay.
Did we just complete a round here?
Nope, I got one to go to complete
right.
The 4th round. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I want to go one place, but I'm not going to, just because my list. And now I'm sounding like Carl. Well, I'm worried about the way my list looks. But I am gonna skip the next pick that I had on my list because I have enough that I think it'll come back to me. And I'm gonna go with World Celebration on this next one. I really love what they've done with the World Celebration Gardens and the lights that are out there and how it transforms that area in the evening. They had some issues with the lights at first, but they've got it all squared away and it looks a lot better. But the key to it, to me, is just having Spaceship Earth in the background. and the lighting on Spaceship Earth, going with the lighting that they've put back behind it, and all the stuff back by the statue and all that kind of stuff. So that area is kind of a cool area to just go sit and chill. And if you need to sober up before you go home, it's a good spot to hang out for a little while, right? But just in terms of like, again, it's a place that transforms very differently in the evenings than it is during the day. So at this point, without trying to like load my entire list with West Coast parks and not picking just something at random from another park because it's got a name, I think World Celebration for me is kind of sticks along that line that I'm going with, where it transforms differently in the evenings. So I really am sounding like Carl. I'm going to lose because now I sound like Carl.
Carl, you finally got your best shot.
Yeah. So, but it sticks with the theme of my lands transforming differently in the evening than they do during the day. So I'm gonna stick with World Celebration.
Yeah,
Carl, I saw that look of disgust on your face. So
so I mean, only because I think it was this week I saw some live pictures of Epic Universe and Celestial Park with the lights and the fountains and everything going on. And somebody had made a comment on that post of, this is what Epcot could have been like when they redid everything. This is what the celebration area should have been like. And why did they rip out a fountain? I thought fountains were too expensive to run and in Florida and didn't work, you know? And so when you think of everything that was and where, and I think the transformation of that area, because of logistic and financial issues, it had so much great potential in the original artist renderings. They didn't deliver it for whatever reason. Hey, that's life. You can't, that's business. That's life. You can have a discussion on that on the business of Disney. But when I look at what it could have been and what it is, I'm disappointed in it because I'm very fond of Epcot too. I'm not gonna shit on Spaceship Earth because it's beautiful what they've done, but as an area, no, it's not. It doesn't cut it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really tough to compare it to Epic for a number of reasons. Number one, when you're rebuilding and you're redoing an area in a land, you're confined to what's already there, versus Epic, where you're building a whole new park and you can dedicate as much space as you want to something. And those fountains are 6 times larger than what they even would remotely have space for at Disney. So I don't really like the idea of saying, I personally hate when people do that between Universal and Disney. They're very like I understand.
So let me take that. I was mentioning a comment that I observed, not that I was in agreement of it, but
sure.
Just take the Fountain of Nations. It was there.
Sure.
Right?
I was going there, right? Like the fountain I understand, right? But on the same hand, you don't know. In 5 years, Universal might be like, "Oh, this fountain was a bad idea." I don't know the inner workings of that. I don't know if that's true or not. But here's what I do know: I worked at a small movie theater, right, for a long time, and we had a fountain in front of our theater, and that fountain had to be shut off and maintained 3 days out of every week. And the place finally ripped it out, right? Because it was just like too much cost, too much maintenance. So from that perspective, I do, just because I experienced it, I watched it, I do trust that that's a thing, right? You get all that stuff in Florida that floats around in the air that lands in that fountain, then that fountain needs to be cleaned, and then people are mad that the fountain's shut off. It's just like a never-ending thing, right? So I do understand ripping it out. I loved that fountain.
Yeah.
But I do understand ripping it out.
And here I'm going to get emotional and on it. I was there on October 24th, 1982, when they did I think they called it the International Ceremony of Waters, when they had shipped waters from all the countries that were around World Showcase Lagoon and had them delivered, and they poured them into the fountain and they poured them into the lagoon. First the fountain, because that was what it was all about. And it was quite a ceremony. It was very dramatic. I know Walt had done something similar when he moved It's a Small World from New York to California and had little kids do that. Some of the people who put the water in the fountains, one girl who put the water in the fountains was a friend of mine who has since passed away. So, like, to me, that I have this vision of a lot of friends putting water in the fountains, but this girl in particular, and now it's all gone. It's like, to rip out something that had that kind of meaning for, and what do you get? Hey, I like sitting next to the Walt statue. It's made for some funny comments online. And, yes, they finally got the lighting right, but the World Celebration area was going to be so much more with a 2-tiered level party place, which was going to alleviate a lot of the congestions and a lot of the festivals. That didn't come to fruition. The garbage that they have there now, it's like an airport lounge. It's ridiculous. So it would have actually, Ryan, it would have been the very last thing on a possible list going East Coast and West Coast. So, but that's
cool.
Okay. Spaceship Earth gives you a little redemption.
That's what it was all about for me, right? Is I needed Spaceship Earth.
No, you're a Spaceship Earth guy. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But I would, yeah.
All right, John, save me from this onslaught that Carl's just put on me and start round.
Yeah, I don't even know how to recover from this one. Other than the fact you give me a little time to figure out what I'm doing, because I was going to go for World Celebration there for my final pick.
Oh my God!
Listen, I'm fully aware I might catch some hate for that. Honestly, I know that that's a controversial one, but I've never steered away from controversy.
So this one's a little bit challenging with what we have left. I mean, again, some of the lands don't really have anything really great at night. Let's all be honest there. Some of them just are not meant for nighttime viewing of any sort. And I'm probably going to get some hate for this one, but I am heading out to DCA for this one. And I am going with what is that? Yeah, that would be the Paradise Garden Park, pretty much only for the fact that of the view that you get for World of Color and at Pixar Pier and everything at night. I know it's kind of cheesy, but it does make sense with what that view, World of Color, with Pixar Pier and everything in the background. That's kind of where I'm going with this one, and I'm going to get hate on that one.
Yeah, you're going to get hate for sure, because my pick is next. And why wouldn't you just go with Pixar Pier?
Because World of Color, that is pretty much Paradise Garden. That's not Pixar Pier.
You chose a fireworks show. You didn't choose a land. You chose a color show.
For the view. I chose it for the view, not for that land. So, and I know I'm going to get hate for that, and I'm fine.
No, it's not hate. It's you just get the classic wah.
Yeah, well, whatever.
God. Somebody, the clown just ran out with the hook and pulled you off the stage, man. I mean, yeah. I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna go with Pixar Pier. It's my next pick.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
I'm gonna go with Pixar Pier as my next pick. Honestly, like, to me in the 5th round, I think this is a steal of a pick. I would have taken it in the last pick, but I didn't want my whole list to be. And it's a good thing I took World Celebration, because apparently John would have taken it if I didn't. But I didn't want my whole list to be the West Coast. But on the same hand, it was number 6 on my list overall in terms of lands at night. So I'm getting it at pick number 14. So that's a steal for me. Pixar Pier is just like one of those lands. It's like real traditional, feels like you're on an actual boardwalk somewhere. They do a really good job theming that all out. The lights are beautiful. You can see the water show from there if you want to. It's not a viewing area, but you can.
There, it's the backside of water show.
Right? It is the backside of water show. The backside of the Color of Water show. But I just really like that land, to be honest with you, in general. The Incredicoaster is super cool, and love that they have, the Ferris wheel there. The Ferris wheel is super unique too, the way that they do it. But again, it's all lit up and perfectly themed to be like a boardwalk kind of atmosphere. So they did a good job with the land, and I'm going to go with it.
Great. And does this mean I get the last pick of the draft?
You get Mr. Irrelevant, Carl. Congratulations.
Well, it may be irrelevant to some, but I'm going to make it very relevant to me since it's my pick. And I'm going to stay on the East Coast and select for my final pick Adventureland.
Shocker.
Magic Kingdom.
Absolute shocker.
And, you know, the tiki torches lit the air, the sounds of the jungle drums. And I will put it to anyone, especially if they've been on my boat, that the Jungle Cruise is a lot more fun at night, and I'm a lot more realistic at night, and you feel like you're in a sort of a exotic and mysterious jungle rather than this kind of cheeky theme park ride. And because it's actually more difficult to see at night. And one of the things I got trained on very early, and then later, you know, the park was open till midnight back in the summers, and then it went to abbreviated hours at 8 o'clock in the evening when, you know, in the fall, and 7 o'clock. And then it didn't run when it was dark until Christmas again. And I remember when the Christmas shift came in, there was no one on the ride that knew how to operate it at night. And I actually one day quickly had to train the entire staff and go on every boat in sequence and everybody who was working that night. It was 26 boats in a row I went on and did the spiel and worked all the lights with another different skipper outside me every time to see how to operate it, right? So the key on it to making the Jungle Cruise look real at night is you have some spotlights on the boat that you wanted to use very intermittently, not much. You had some interior lights on the boat, which you only wanted to light up when you did something that was a joke that had to do with the people sitting there. And then you had a spotlight. And it was a two-handled cam spotlight. The handle went over the top. You could do it one-handed. And this was the key to success, because the senior people, the seasoned people would teach you, you don't shine it on the hippo or the elephant or the you know, the apes in the camp or the Serengeti or anything. You reflect it, you shine it on the water, and the light reflects off the water onto the animals. And the animals looked realer at night with this dark reflection. Their eyes are set up to glow at night like animals do in the dark. And it was an uncanny effect that you did it, and brought a lot of fun to it. You know, every other attraction and land that we've talked about got mentioned because it has great artificial lighting. The Jungle Cruise in Adventureland has lousy artificial lighting, which is intentional, and that adds to the authenticity of the land and attraction. So the other thing I'll just tell you why that's right. Certainly I love the pirates. Coming out of the pirates from that night experience into the night is a lot more effective than coming out to the daylight. Very soon, by the end of this year, we're going to have a bar there too, which will really make this a great place at night. But all of those things sort of combined make it very important. And personally, on the personal part of this, for me, is if you got a skipper at night, and there was no kids on the boat, you could go with a slightly edgier spiel, and you could get some laughs from people, and you really kind of press the line of saying things and not getting reported to City Hall, right? You know, how much could you push that envelope? And that was a lot of fun games, and it brought back a lot of memories. Maybe one night, you know, we can do the X-rated Jungle Cruise spiel as an episode here on Dudes Dish Disney.
Could be fun.
Yeah, that could be a good time.
All right, so there's my final pick. And so how does the draft look, John?
Well, let's take a look here. Pull it up. All right. So let's go through Carl's picks. Carl's got Galaxy's Edge over at Disney World, Frontierland, Disneyland, Toy Story Land, Discovery Island, and Adventureland. I have Pandora, World Showcase, Main Street USA over at Walt Disney World, Sunset Boulevard, and Paradise Garden Park. Ryan has Cars Land, Avengers Campus, New Orleans Square, World Celebration, and Pixar Pier.
Yeah, I gotta say, John, it's between you and me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Sure, guys. It's Avengers Campus, not Advengers.
I will fix that typo. Clearly, I cannot type tonight. That is
And
easy
can we
fix.
please make sure that that's listing as Adventureland Walt Disney World, so that we can forever remind Carl that he chose the Adventureland that had the flying carpets in it.
Yes, I can make that tweak, and I will make that right now, actually.
I would have taken Adventureland Disneyland just for the
Just
fact
because
that
of no carpets,
there's no
yeah.
carpets. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to include pirates in it too, in the bar. So I get it. Hey, so to our listeners and to you guys, I think there's a couple things that are interesting that we didn't pick, that are very vivid nighttime experiences, especially of those of us with families and small children or small grandchildren. What do you think? And what do our listeners think? What have we missed that would have been one of your picks over some of the picks that the three of us picked? Is there anyone out there that wants to take a stab at something that was a swing and a miss?
Is there anyone out there at all?
It's coffee talk. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm verklempt. While we're waiting for these things to roll in, just without giving it totally away, there are definitely 3 or 4 lands that I'm surprised didn't find their way onto this list. One of them I think is glaring, that didn't make it onto this list, and a couple other that I think were definitely better than Paradise Gardens. But
Yeah, that was a flop on my end. I really don't know what I'm thinking, but I had purpose in my head, and we'll leave it at that.
yeah. I'm regretting World Celebration because of what's left on the list a little bit. So, John, you're not the only one that's regretting something. Well, I guess I shouldn't assume you're regretting it. Maybe you like that terrible pick, but
There's always one. I mean, let's be honest. There's always one. So.
there's always one. We it's almost like we talked you into it. It was like, hey, great job through 4 rounds, John. You really can't screw it up in the 5th round. And then here's John.
Hold my beer. You can.
Hold my beer. With no responses coming in, I'll toss out the first one that I think Tomorrowland is one that totally it was in my brain the entire time. I do like the way Tomorrowland looks now, especially with Tron and Walt Disney World. I think it adds a whole new element to it. People Mover has some of the best views in the park at night. Depending on where you are on the People Mover, there's some really great views and viewing angles. So that one, I kind of regret not taking that over World Celebration, but that's one for me. I don't know about you guys.
When you guys were talking about Pixar Pier and everything, what a great job that is. I was thinking of the boardwalk area too. And the classic is, as a kid growing up, any amusement park or carnival, is the lights, right?
Yeah.
It's the lights. And they, as much as they play a big part in Main Street USA, and I think Walt designed it that way, they certainly play a big part in Fantasyland too, right? So I think Fantasyland has that atmosphere of it. It doesn't have some of the rest of the strategic lighting like we've on the lands that we picked on our list, but certainly the carousel is beautiful at night. With the light, those lights on it, and the lighting of the castles at both parks are beautiful, right? And Fantasy in the Sky is a classic. The fireworks over the castles. So certainly Fantasyland could have been one of the misses here too.
Yeah, especially you get some of those viewing angles behind those pillars that are over by BR Guest and stuff, and
yeah,
It's really cool from over there with the fireworks going on. And, you know, one thing I think hurts Fantasyland is that they don't really light up, like, and I get it, but like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has very simple lights on it. And I think it's appropriately themed for the ride, but it's not appropriately themed for the land,
Right.
in terms of how it's lit up.
Right.
So that's a kind of a weird one there, but yeah, I definitely thought of Fantasyland as well.
Yeah, especially considering what it replaced when 20,000 Leagues was there. The whole lagoon was lit up.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see all the waters and the bubbles coming up, and it wasn't dark and mysterious. The submarines were lit up. So that was a big change. You know, that's the Magic Kingdom, and I think Tomorrowland and Fantasyland are two obvious ones. You know, as you get into the other 3 parks in Orlando, I don't know if there's an obvious one in that we missed in the other ones. I think we did of the parks we picked and what we picked in the parks. I think we did a pretty accurate job. You know, the ones that again were not mentioned probably at nighttime aren't as dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we picked the obvious ones in you know, someone can make an argument for Asia and Expedition Everest, but I think the ones that we did pick in Animal Kingdom were the ones that most people would agree with.
Yep.
And,
yeah, I mean, I thought about that area over by Expedition Everest, but there's not really that much there. I mean, especially now with that open theater over the water, it's just a weird waste of space right now. And it's just, I don't know, there's just not enough going on there. While you have that really cool view and there's some really good spots to get great pictures kind of heading that way, there's not really all that much, let's be honest.
Right.
So it's just kind of dead.
Well, hey guys, it was great getting back into the draft with you. Let's have Ryan explain the rules from where we go from here on the draft before we bid our farewells.
Yeah. So tomorrow we'll start posting on social media. Tomorrow will be Facebook, and then over the weekend we'll do Instagram and Twitter as well to try to get more eyes on it while people aren't working all day, or maybe we should do it because you're doom scrolling at your desk and worried about the economy. Who knows? But we'll post at some point over the weekend on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just look up Dudes Dish Disney. I'm not going to call out all the call signs anymore. You'll find it. And feel free to jump in, comment, tell us we're idiots, right? Tell me my World Celebration was bad. Was a bad pick. Only if you tell John Paradise Gardens was crap and Carl Discovery Islands was crap, right? So, you know, good luck, gentlemen. We'll tally the votes, and on Monday we'll announce the winner, and the winner will win a big grand prize of absolutely nothing, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, sounds like a great plan.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. It was great, like I said, getting in the swing of another draft. And to all our listeners, thanks for playing along. Thanks for jumping into social media. And until we duke it out again in another draft, later, dudes. Later, dudes.
Later, dudes.
Later, dudes.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Dudes Dish Disney. Please check us out on social media. On Facebook at Dudes Dish Disney. On Instagram at Dudes Dish Disney. On X at Disney_Dish. Please check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe at Dudes Dish Disney. Please visit our sponsor, Magic Vacations, at magicvacations.net. More than just a travel agency, Magic Vacations has over 60 Magic Vacation planners committed to bringing you white glove concierge service. Using a Magic Vacation planner allows you to spend more time making memories and less time worrying about the details. For all of your Disney, Universal, cruise, and global travel, go to magicvacations.net. Magic Vacations. Discover the magic